I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I get a motion on the approval of the minutes for
So moved.
23rd?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Joe, financial update?
You're
Joe?
muted.
Unmute.
Joanne, you're muted.
Unmute.
Got it. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. The reports that you have attached were not changed from the May 12th meeting because they're as of April 30th. So no change there, but the checks drawn today amount to $154,272, of which $124,643 are FAD expenditures, and Warren, I will be sending you the email to make that transfer today into the operating account to cover those checks. I want to thank Millie for an unbelievably quick processing of our invoice that I sent immediately after our May 12th meeting, and 10 days later on May 22nd, we received $84,901 into our operating account from the County of Westchester. So thank you, Millie. And
I am shocked that
yeah,
it.
I was too. It all ran smoothly this time, and now that we have that piece in, the attachment that you have with this meeting shows the last column of that portion due to the Westchester municipalities that add up to this 84,000 that Westchester just gave us. So we will be able now to give that little piece now, the final piece to the Westchester municipalities of what they are owed. And again, that you can see for your own towns on that schedule I've sent. I also wanted to let you know with regard to our audit, which was completed and the tax returns were filed, we did receive the tax engagement letter for this current year, which will obviously be done next April, May, January through March, all of that. I did send that around to the audit committee, and there's been no changes since last year. So that's just for the tax returns themselves to give the authority. I sign that letter as comptroller every year. If no one has any comments or questions on that, I will just send that back to our outside accountants and get that signed.
All right. Very good. Kevin, would you like to tackle the project update?
Sure thing. So first on the project update sheet, like Joanne, I did not update anything from the May Board of Directors meeting. I didn't think there was a significant impact on individual projects since that date. But we are advancing a few projects, one to construction for MKNC 22, which is a year 4 project, which we've been trying to get out for, unfortunately, for several years. But now it seems we'll have a little bit more success within Leonard Park. Construction for that project is going to be based upon availability to use the area for whether we're going to have full access to the park or if they're going to have camps ongoing within the park this summer. As of right now, Mount Kisco is expecting us not to be able to, they're expecting to not have camps, but of course that may change as things are, restrictions are being lifted and everything's getting back to normal. So we'll see exactly when the start date will be for that construction. Should camps go forward, it would be post Labor Day. If camps do not happen, then we can start as soon as possible over there.
Can I ask, does anybody anticipate their camps opening up this summer?
No, I don't.
I do not.
Yours?
I am not opening mine.
I might have one. I have 3 Hamlet parks, and I might consolidate a camp into one of those 3 parks, and the same with the pool.
Okay, well, I was just asking because I didn't think anybody was, but so.
We're going to try. I have to take a look at it. We have not made any decision.
I think that's pretty typical, Chris, that everybody's kind of right on the fence right now, whether or not they're going to make that decision, which is, of course, is going to impact this project. So as we get closer into June, I think we'll be able to have a little bit a clearer decision.
Most of us have canceled.
Yeah.
The park, so.
Yeah, so the award for that project will happen at our June executive committee meeting. and then we'll know whether or not it's going to be a start in July, August, or what have you. But I do expect that to go forward quickly. In other news, in working with the town of Somers and New York State DEC, we were able to review a project which is happening over at the former IBM campus in Somers, which is a redevelopment. It's going to go from the IBM campus itself to a private school known as Bluestone Peak Academy, which will involve the removal and redevelopment of almost the entire site. Insight Engineering is their engineer of record for the private developer. We are looking at possibly 64 kilograms of reduction on site based upon removing the impervious cover in the parking lots and many of the buildings, and treatment of the existing conditions on site. The DEC has agreed that this is an acceptable retrofit, and as we get further into the design, we'll figure out how it's going to be phased and included into the program. But it's a possibility of 64 credits for free from the redevelopment down there. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that as we get more details and as it moves forward. But it's a similar situation like what we had at Chappaqua Crossing in Newcastle, where we can get essentially free credits for work that a private developer is executing. So we'll continue to monitor that and also look for other opportunities that are similar to that. But 64 kilograms for no investment is certainly something we're going to chase after. Moving on to the Kent MB 601 change order for Legacy Supply. Rich and I have spoken with Podge Engineering and Legacy to get this project wrapped up as soon as possible. We feel we came to a good conclusion with them after a negotiation to move forward with executing placement of the fill material on site, leaving it there, and progress has been made, significant progress has been made on the construction out there. I've visited it a few times, and I'm very happy with the progress that we've seen, and I think we'll be wrapped up sooner rather than later, which is great news. So this change order that we have in place is expected to be the last one, and it is an increase of $322,425.90 over the contract price. That involves the cost of all additional work, and reduction of all work that was not completed on site.
Okay, thanks.
This leaves us with an efficiency for the project close to $96,000 per kilogram, which of course is higher than we would like, but I think it is a very good scenario for the obstacles that we had on site, unfortunately. And of course, we balance this out with some of the more efficient projects, and it's still overall going to be good for the program, because we still have a reduction of about 11 kilograms per year for the project. So we're asking that we get official resolution for the change order approval today at the executive committee meeting.
So move.
We have a second?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, everybody's in favor?
Aye.
Good deal. Kevin, thanks for all your hard work on this. Quick question. Have we heard anything more from the town of Kent's attorney?
No, since the, as you're alluding to, Rich, they did reach out to us to get an update as to what was going on. I tried to make it clear that we were what our intentions were on site. I have not seen any additional documentation from the previous communication that they gave us, which I think was a little bit earlier into the month, maybe about 2 weeks ago. But there's been no additional questions. There's been no one from the town which has visited the site, to my knowledge. They haven't reached out for any, updates or changes in the design. So I've given them as much information as I think we can share with them to date.
Excellent. So hopefully we are going to be moving on from this chapter of our life.
As soon as possible.
Yes.
Yes, closing the book.
Excellent. Okay, we've got some seeker resolutions to move forward
Yes.
for a couple of projects. Anybody have any questions on these projects?
Kevin, could I just ask if you could make sure to sign those forms? The ones that came around to us weren't signed. Just make
Yes.
for the record that you have them signed. Okay.
They're sitting here on
Absolutely,
my
yeah.
desk except for Kevin's signature.
I will pick them up today when I bring the documents by to be signed.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
printed
then-
out new ones. I fixed a couple of errors, small stuff. So you can take them back. Kevin can sign them and we're all good to go.
Great, thank you.
We'll return all the signed copies to Christine and George once we have for record keeping.
Good. Okay, can I get a motion on the secret determination for BMU 701?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the resolution for NSMU 701?
So moved.
second,
All in
Second,
favor? All right, can I get a motion on the resolution for MKNC 602?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion on the resolution for NSMU 601?
So moved.
We got a
Second,
second?
Second. That's the
All in
killer.
favor?
Yes,
Aye.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
Any questions, Warren?
No, I'm good with that one. I was reading I was reading the Valley Road one in your town. I was on 601, different 601. No, we've been working hard on the North Salem one for a while, so this is good.
Good. Yeah, it's good to see these move forward finally.
Well, that's on private property, so that was our problem there all along.
Kevin, you want to talk a little bit about the Fabco Industries?
Yeah. So as I've brought up in the past, the Fabco product, which is specifically the filter, which comes along with the storm basin unit, is the only of its kind to be approved by New York State DEC. We've been utilizing it for several projects for phosphorus reduction of 50% of the water quality volume. What I'm looking to do today is get approval to move forward with the purchase order for the product and installation by Fabco for the units, so we can begin working on specifically Metro North stations. And I think this is the first step in allowing us to move forward with all similar projects. Because as you know, we've been fairly aggressive with getting these type of products in at multiple sites across the watershed. So today we're asking for approval of the purchase order for the two sites, one at BMU 701, which is the Woods Bridge Road commuter lot in the town of Village of Katona in Bedford, and at Croton Falls train station, NSMU 701.
How about Purdy's, not Purdy's train station?
The biggest hang up that we've had, not with Purdy's specifically, but I guess is just with Metro North in general. They want to see the product installed. They want to see how it's going to affect the commuter, how et cetera, et cetera. And they want to get a little bit more details for it. So we're going to execute these two project sites because we can get in and out of there pretty quickly, I feel, and it's not Metro North property. We can show them that there's not going to be significant impact to the commuter, and that we can get in and out of there in probably 2 days for both installations. I think Katona will probably be 1 day because there's only.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time to do it. Obviously,
Yeah, exactly.
it's weekend, but
Yeah.
now there's nobody there right now.
Yeah, so I've asked them to allow us to get to the other sites like Purdy's and Southeast, for example, because now is the time to get in there and get out and really not.
What are
affect
they
anybody.
saying to you? What are they saying? They just want to see it elsewhere, or they're concerned you're going to impact people, or what?
It's both. They're not familiar enough with the whole process. I've given them as much information I can from PowerPoints to all the details and our maintenance agreements, et cetera. And I think they just want to see how it's going to work first before they'll outright commit to some of the other sites that they think are going to be probably of heavier use. But once they see that how quickly we're in and out of there and that the maintenance agreement's in place, et cetera, I think they'll be supportive of it. They're just, they're just a little, slow to pull the trigger, I think.
And how many units are we ordering?
There are 5 basins at Katona. I don't quite recall how many are at North Salem, however. But as we start putting all of them in, once we're looking at all of our project sites, we're going to be probably well over 100 units in total.
Yeah, I mean, just because the reason I'm asking, Peach Lake, obviously, Bill Stoker, I met with the co-ops. I think you were there also. It was a while ago. But he's gone over and actually gone at and looked at the individual basins to measure them up. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
It's private property, obviously. And my guess is there's probably 50 at least there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, when we look at one of the secret determinations we did today was for Mount Kisco Commons, MKNC 602. And similar situation, I think there's about 15 basins there, which means 30 filters. And as we start looking at the other Metro North sites, those numbers start increasing quickly. So this is a product that we're utilizing in many places. We'll end up having a long list of sites and basins.
So what do we need to do? And I know we're on a different, but what would we need to do to move Peach Lake forward? It's in the FAD, and they're all ready to do it.
Well, I think how about you and I go offline? We can talk about that. I'll give you a call after the meeting, because really what it comes down to is we need, it has to be certified by a professional engineer for the phosphorus removal. And that's the only hang up.
So can we get that going?
Yeah.
I mean, because these seem, they're low hanging fruit, all of these things, and to get 3 or 4 kilograms out of what, 5, I forget how many you said, 5 in Katona.
Yep.
We're under 2,000 a kilogram. I don't know what it's going to cost to put in, but it's pretty damn efficient. 3,000 a kilogram.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing with these projects. It's a shame we even have to go out to bid for them. But the situation we're in is I can't sign for it. Phosphorus removal as a professional engineer representing the corporation. So we have to go out to bid to get, or find a design engineer that's willing to sign off on them. So in this case, I would probably, the discussion we'll have is whether or not your town engineer can.
Well, would Fabco, my town engineer, we'd have to go pay, but would Fabco do it?
They'd be willing to find an engineer to do it, I think, but I don't know if now we're starting to ask too much of them as an individual contractor. I don't know. We can look into the more of the details there, I think.
Thank you.
Well, that engineering is not unique to Fabco, so we would have to bid out the engineering or ask for proposals on that.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. It's not. Absolutely, any engineer could have the ability to do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have a price on all these units we're getting?
Yes. I have to come back to the document, George.
We have 2 purchase orders, George, pending before us right now.
They're like 12. They're about $1,200 each or something, right? I mean, they're not.
Yeah, just about. And that involves that's the product and the installation.
Oh, that's both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to figure out how to get some of these going, because we have some low hanging fruit before anybody says we can't use them. My guess is just at Peach Lake, we'll probably get 20, 30 kilograms. I got to believe, and it's going to cost us nothing.
Exactly.
It'll cost us under 100 grand. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So Kevin, Fabco is doing the installation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to figure out, to Kevin's point, we need to figure out an easy way to get the engineering done if that's what's holding us up. I don't know why Kevin can't sign off on it. Maybe we can go back. Is there a reason specifically you can't sign off on it, Kevin? They just won't let you, or?
Well, I cannot represent. I'm not an engineer. Well, I am an engineer. I'm not an engineer for the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation. I can't sign and seal something representing us to my knowledge. Of course,
That's correct.
I think we've gone down this road before.
Yeah.
And then after that, it gets into, professionally, I don't know that I'm willing to sign it as Fitzpatrick Engineering and Consulting and not make sure that everybody has the opportunity. While I wouldn't take payment for it, I don't know if that's really, ethically I'm going down the right road to sign it as my own professional firm.
Yeah, it has to have the indemnification of the East Hudson Watershed Corporation. If he's going to do it, if he's not, you really got to get somebody who has the correct insurance and everything else for it as a professional engineer.
Right. Which I just don't have that in place.
Which Warren, you're going to have to pay for.
Yeah.
I don't mind paying. I just need we need to figure out how to get this moving because we've been talking about Croton Falls for a long time now, and there's been nobody at any of these train stations.
So Kevin, basically, we're going to go out, we're going to look for an engineer to certify that the Fabco insert is going to be reducing the amount of phosphorus for that general watershed area. But pretty much it's going to be the same for every Fabco insert. Is it not correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So if we put this out to bid, can we not just put it out for bid for an engineer that will give us a per unit price to certify these, and we get one engineer to do all the Fabcos?
But it's based on the amount of water and the contouring of the land. Oh, it's based on a couple of more things. I would think the drainage area, right?
Yeah, but I think to Rich's point, we could shape the what the RFP is, so that rather than having to go back out to bid every single time we get a project like this, we could just say, on a per basin rate. What's the water quality volume going to this? And we could stipulate everything within that individual contract and just have kind of one engineer on call almost to do these projects as they come along and just pull the trigger quickly. I believe that's what you're getting at, correct, Rich?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. So that'll streamline things for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you look at Catone at the 1,200 a basin, it's $3,000 a kilogram, which is, we're talking 70 on a larger project, 70 per kilogram. So it's, 20 some odd times more efficient.
Yeah. So we can either be in a situation of what Rich just brought up, or we could ask town engineers to get a new task order.
The town engineer in my situation, I have to pay, he doesn't work for the town. He's contracted to the town. It's on engineering. So I'd have to go out and pay them to do it. I don't care who you use.
Right.
It'd be nice to have somebody who's done one of them and comes to the next one with an understanding of exactly what he has to do to get it through the DEC and get the approval.
Exactly. And once they've done one or two, it's just going to be, repetition.
So who's doing the one for Catone? I'm sorry, Rich.
It's probably going to be a lot cheaper for the corporation to hire an engineer to do all these and us individually to have our town engineers signing off on this.
Yeah, it's to say the least, it's extremely frustrating because I take this design almost 60%. The only thing I haven't done is a full survey on the site, and then we hand it off to somebody else to do. So I know what goes into these things, and we're not designing a wastewater treatment plant here. It's simple,
So can
something that can be reproduced very easily by a consultant.
So we're a little bit off the subject maybe, but by the next meeting, can we have somebody select, who's done the design so far on Catone? Anybody?
For the Metro North stations, that's KC Engineering.
Yeah. Okay. So he's done what we're asking somebody else to do for all the other sites. Has he done that amount of detail?
They've done them for the Metro North stations, and then we have other consultants that have done it that are utilizing the product elsewhere.
Okay. So I would think go out to a couple of them, get a couple of prices, and get some of these different projects in front of them. I mean, as I said, this is all going on private property around Peach Lake, and we already have everybody saying yes. I'd hate to find out in 6 months or a year that they're not as interested as they were.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a hard look at what new ones are coming up, which haven't been awarded yet, and we'll go down that road and see if what makes sense.
Well, who's doing the Croton Falls one? Is that all done?
That's KC. Yeah, KC Engineering has all of the Metro North stations.
MTA. Yeah, well, that's not an MTA lot.
Right, that's a DEP
The DEP lot that we rent from the DEP, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Kevin, I think Kevin Wynn had spoken to you about maintenance of what would be installed. Is that resolved, or where does that stand?
To a point, I think I've answered all the questions that Kevin Wynn has had. I think that but that's a good point, Supervisor, because I think in general, once we get to the point where we have 100 of these inserts in, I don't know that it's really in our benefit to have individual municipalities maintaining these. So now we could get to a point where we have 19 different purchase orders on an annual basis for the same product.
Yeah.
It may very well be easier for us as we move forward to have a consultant that we go out to bid on for O&M for all of our catch basin inserts, so that East of Hudson ourselves as an entity has the one purchase order that we then share the cost down to the municipalities. So I think there's going to be a better way to streamline the maintenance moving forward. But at this point, as I speak to all the highway departments and supervisors, I'm telling them, look, you have to carry the burden of the maintenance of this per our agreements and our plans that we have. But we're going to look into ways to make this more efficient and lighten the load and get the job done a little bit faster for everyone.
Yeah,
I think I've answered Kevin Wynn's questions.
Yeah, for 5 units in Cantona, for 50 around Peach Lake, because some of them, quite frankly, are in the town of Southeast. I don't know as my highway department is going to be wanting to do that, so we have to work through some of this.
Yeah, because then we start adding all the sites up, it's going to start getting to be a larger and larger number.
Yeah, my town is already doing some of the work in the town of Southeast on the jellyfish we put in.
Yeah.
So that was a leap there. So I think we need to figure the maintenance stuff out sooner than later, and if we accelerate it, we're going to have a lot of pieces. We're going to have a lot of them in the ground pretty fast.
Yeah.
I could see us having 100 in the ground easily by the end of the summer if we moved on this.
Well, especially if once we execute the work over here in Croton Falls and in Cantona, I think the Metro North is going to see how easily we can get this done and how it doesn't impact. Even if the lots were full, all we're doing is dropping some stuff into the basins themselves. So the impact to the commuters are so small. So they just need to see that, I think. And then, yes, we'll be able to fire off a group of these very quickly.
Okay, so what I would suggest is we figure out about how many we think we can get done and then go out and also start lining up some of the maintenance. Because as I said, 5 may be okay for Kevin. If we end up with up to 50 around Peach Lake in 2 towns, my highway department is not going to want to be out there cleaning them all the time.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's to your point that you made earlier, Kevin. It's just a mess to try to manage the whole thing. The more of these that are installed.
Yeah, we'll know the price going into every year, so it'll just end up being a line item on our forecasting for the next year. So we could have each individual municipality almost pay in advance for what we're doing, because the corporation ourselves can only take on so much of a payment for that. And we'd have to make sure that everything that we've earned in interest can be applied, et cetera. So we'll figure out a better, more efficient maintenance program for these items, and I think it can be very easily executed and done.
Yeah, we talked a couple of years ago when we were meeting with Bill. We talked about putting about 1,000 of these in, as I remember.
You know what? At the end of everything, I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting up there.
Yep.
With all the sites.
Okay.
Okay, can I get a motion on the resolution to designate Babco Industries as a sole source provider?
Also move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next up is approval of the purchase order for BMU 701. Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion on approval of the purchase order for NSMU 701?
So move.
Is that Keeler? That's which one is that? I don't even know.
That's Croton Falls.
Yes, okay.
What's that?
Okay. We're okay.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, so.
All
Yes,
right, all in favor?
yes.
Aye.
All right, it approves.
Go ahead.
All right, Southeast O&M equipment request. You want to talk about this, Kevin? You want me to talk about this?
Sure, I'll touch on it. So the town of Southeast has reached out and asked us to share the financial load of them purchasing a specialized tractor for steep slopes, basically. We've gotten similar.
Well, but the thing is that if
We've gotten similar requests like this in the past, for which the towns have asked us to share a purchase of an item.
There's another one that.
But
But everything has been.
Hey, Chris?
Linda?
In other words, the one that's.
You want me to mute?
Chris?
Yes, Linda.
No, I mean, no, I mean, if they, yeah, no, that's fair enough, absolutely.
Chris?
I muted him, but I can, oh, sorry.
You mute
All right,
me.
Kevin.
okay, so
Sorry.
so I'll just quick start from the beginning. And Southeast would like us to share the purchase order for a tractor which can do steep slopes. Specifically, they're looking at our project over at SE Pot 02 at Brewster Heights, because it is fairly steep slopes. So I understand the need for the equipment that they may not have. However, we have had similar requests like this in the past from municipalities, and we've denied them, in short, because I don't think it's in our best interest to to go down the road of purchasing equipment for individual municipalities, because that list will not stop. If we ever decided to try to get down that road, we would have to have a very strong plan in place as to how we would execute something like that. And the only way we would be able to would be to have all the municipalities purchase the equipment as a group, as part of the O&M plan. We could not execute that with any funds that we have. We could own something, but where are we going to keep this tractor? Essentially. So I don't think it's in the best interest for us to move forward with something like that, and nor do I think we can.
And just to be clear, to add in, it is not an eligible cost under the current funding that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what we can do is reach out to other municipalities to see whether or not they can help out. I've known that this project was going to be a bit of a burden for maintenance, to say the least, because it's significant. So I expected the town of Southeast to probably have a couple of hurdles and hiccups in trying to get it done. What we can do is reach out to Putnam County to see whether or not they can assist us with the maintenance of the whole thing. And I'm going to make sure that the folks over in Southeast are actually approaching this correctly. Do we really need the whole hillside mowed, or can somebody just go in there and make sure that there's a path with a weed whacker, quite frankly? All we really need is access to the piped network through that channel. I don't think that they really need to go in there with a steep slope mower. But I'll sit down with them, make sure they understand what we're asking, and then if they feel as though we really need to take this to another level of the maintenance, then we can reach out to Putnam County, because I have a pretty good guess Putnam County is going to probably have the mower that they're looking for. So we'll see whether or not we can do some shared services rather than shared costs here.
Anyone have any different point of view?
I want a mower too.
Because I need a mower and I need several other things, which I would love to build east of Hudson.
Vinny's not smiling.
Need a haircut. Will you guys pay for that too?
Yeah. Fine. As long as I got
Because we're not going to pay for it.
OPM, other people's money.
All right, so it sounds like we're all in agreement that we're not going to get into the business of purchasing equipment.
Agreed.
So can I get a motion to deny Southeast's request for O&M equipment?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Favor? All right, I'll work with the corporation to draft a letter. We'll send it back to Tony and explain why.
And, I think to Kevin's point, if there's something that's very specific that we can all share, maybe it makes sense, but otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yep, agree.
I would suggest that the letter stress the fact that the corporation is just plain not funded to go out and buy equipment.
Agreed.
That's hard to argue with.
Okay, Kevin, O&M update?
Well, I think we hit a lot of the points here from Joanne's earlier discussion on the release of payment and this item with Southeast. Again, I'll continue to start visiting the sites one by one and see how everything's, what kind of shape everything's in. But as of today, there's nothing major that we need to address, nothing of concern. All the sites that I have seen have been as expected at this point in the year. So no major updates.
Okay, very good. Anybody have any other business they wish to discuss at this time?
How about I move to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.